Okay, good morning. Today we're going to start our discussion on the use of R and navigating through R. So we learned last time that RStudio can only work if you have installed R, the R software itself. However, using R is it's not that good because the interface is not really good for data processing. So that's why we're using RStudio. Now you can see here that there are four window panes. Okay, so what are these four window panes? Just a second. Okay, so we have these four window panes. We have the source window or the script window. Then we have the console. We have the environment window, and then we have the files, plots, packages window. Now, when you first load RStudio, chances are the console will be the default is that the console is below the source or script window. Now, if you want to put the console on the upper right, that's very easy. We will just have to modify, adjust, or reposition our console window. So how do you do that? You first go to Tools. Okay, so this is one way to do it. Go to Tools and then Global Options. So Tools and then Global Options. And then if you take a look at this pane here, you have pane layout. If I click this, it generates this picture of where your source, console, environment, and files window is. So let me first revert to the original. So most probably, if you haven't modified this, you'll find this you'll find the arrangement this way: source, console below, environment on top, and then files. Now, if I want to put console here in this position, then I'll click this and then choose console. Automatically, the console will be here. And there's an advantage of putting the console here because if you're using a, let's say, a R script, then the result will not be generated in the source window, but rather in the console. So we would like to immediately see the result on the upper right, as compared to seeing it here below. Okay, so this will be okay. Okay, and by the way, also, the default is that this has white background. So let me bring that again. Global options, tools, and then global options appearance. This is the default of our Chrome. Okay, so watch carefully, class. You have this, or you have what I used a while ago, global options, and then appearance, and then I'm using the cobalt there. Apply. Okay. So may I have the opinion of the class, the feedback of the class? What do you prefer, the Chrome theme or this cobalt theme? Kindly chat, please. What's your preference? Is it the cobalt or the Chrome? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. I think all of you prefer Chrome. Sorry. Chrome pala, no? May cobalt at saka may Chrome. Okay, so medyo hati yung class, no? Okay, sorry, I thought it was cobalt. Okay, so then I think, why don't we, okay, so let me, please remind me to continue later on. Let me pause recording first, resume recording. Okay, so we have four window panes here. You have the source or the script window pane, you have the console on the upper right, and the environment, and then files. Okay, and we said that in R, there are many packages that we can tap in order to process our data, whatever statistical analysis or statistical test we are we are using or doing, most chances are there are packages that contain functions which we can use in order to do our statistical process. So the packages can be seen here in the Files, Plots, and Packages window. If I click this, I'm sorry, medyo mabagal yung internet sa amin. Ay, hindi pala sa internet to. Kasi nakaload na yung ano eh. Okay, I have here several packages already loaded. Most probably we will not have the same because I've been using R for quite some time and I have loaded many packages. Okay. Once you load a package, and if you recall, the code to load a package is, anyone? How do you load a particular package in R? What's the function? Okay, yes, Mackenzie?
Sir, is it install dot packages?
Yes.
Then parentheses, then quote unquote the package itself.
Yeah, thank you. You're correct. Very good. So it's install that packages. Okay. And then, okay, close, open and close quotations. Then you put between here the name of the package. So if you don't have that package here, and then when you install it, then you'll find it here. Okay. But installing a package does not mean that automatically you'll be able to use that. How will you be able to use a particular package?
Sir, is it the library?
Yes, thank you. So it's library. Okay, you make use of library, L-I-B-R-A-R-Y, and then the package. Or another way to do it is require. So you will, even if you have loaded the package in R, you will have to access it. You will have to activate it by using the library function. Okay, so let me give you an example. Okay, here, let's say a dplyr. Here, dplyr, this one. Grammar of data manipulation. This one. Take note that it's not checked. Dplyr here is not checked. In your case, if it does not appear, it means that it has not yet been loaded to your computer. So dplyr does not is not checked here, which means that this package is not yet ready for use. But if I click this, okay, it is equivalent to this. Let me repeat that. If I unclick this, it's detaching. If I click this dplyr, see, it's library dplyr, which means that it's now ready to be used. So you can seek help. Okay, may help function ditong si R. Okay, and we will do that later on. We can seek the assistance of R for a particular about details about a particular package, etc. Okay, so we have 4 window panes here. Now what we want to do is when you open a file in R, okay, when you open R Studio, you will be led to this, and you can either open an R script, a Quarto document, a Quarto presentation, an R notebook, and an R markdown. Okay, hopefully we get to experience this because you can actually create presentations in R. So you don't need PowerPoint. The advantage of Quarto presentation is that you can create the presentation here in the R script. Okay, and then you can link any function, any operation, any test that you're conducting, and it can be automatically linked to your presentation. Unlike unlike using PowerPoint, for example. So for PowerPoint, you have to use another, of course, you cannot do statistical analysis in PowerPoint. So you'll have to go either to Excel or even to R. So you run a particular function, and then for the output, you just copy it and then paste it to PowerPoint. Okay, in R, either R presentation or Quarto presentation, it's automatic. You have the code, and you can have the code printed in the slides or just the output. Okay, so there's this interface already between R and the presentation. Hold on. Okay, so first things first, before we proceed with our lesson for today, let me ask you first, if you type get working directory here, get WD, open and close parentheses. Okay, if you type this and then Control Enter, you can type it here in the script window or in the console. What do you get? What do you get? Could you please copy paste the output and then paste it in the chat box? What are you getting? Okay. All right. Okay, so you notice you have different cell locations. Okay. So the working directory that's used by R depends on your machine. So many of you, you can see here it's in the users, in C, users. For some of you, users, and then you might have a folder there with your name and then documents. Just like kay Loy Alicia, kay Naoki naman, users, and then NAO. So this is where your working directory is, which means that when you work on a particular data or a particular statistical analysis in R, it will be automatically saved in the working directory. But you can change this. If you want to create another folder and set it to be your working directory, you can do that. You can use the function setwd. Okay, so there's this function setwd, set working directory. You just have to find this file location of that folder. Okay, so for example, if I want the directory to be, let's see, desktop. Okay, so I want it here. I want the working directory to be here, or any particular folder here. Okay, so what do? I will have to copy path, right? So you go to the location and then copy path, and then go back to R, and then paste it, Control V. Oops. You go back. Okay, copy path, and let me see. All right. So here, this is the path that I want. This is the folder where I want to be the working directory. Now, however, medyo babaguhin nyo muna to, ano, kasi sa R, ayaw ng R ng backward slash, gusto ng R ng forward slash. So, I'll set this, I'll highlight this, and then Control F. Control F, find yung backward slash here. Papalitan ko ng forward slash. There. Okay. So next, next. Okay, wait. Replace. Okay, ayaw niya. Escape. Oops, wala. Okay, sorry. Again, set WD, control. Okay, so the backward slash to, no, should be replaced by backward ba for baliktad. Backward, forward. Nalilito ako, no? It should be replaced by a, this is a, ano to class? Sorry, I got confused. This is backward slash, no? Ito, forward slash. Forward kasi from left to right goes forward. Ito naman, backward. There. So you'll have to replace all the backward. Baliktad, no? Okay. And then control enter. All right, so okay na. So if I check the working directory now, okay. So okay, nabago na yung working directory. Kanina, it was here. Okay, now the working directory is here. So the working directory is very important because R will default to that. Pag nagsisave ka ng file, doon niya isi-save. Okay. However, we're not going to use that. We're going to use a particular tool, and it's what we call an R project. So what we're going to do in this class is, since you can create one folder as your R project, and then we can create subfolders there for our different topics. So let me illustrate that. How do you create a folder, and why is it important to use folders in R? What's the rationale for using a folder in R? A folder in R is very important because when you're working with the data or a file, you're working on an R Markdown file, and then suddenly there was a power interruption, or suddenly you lost your computer conked out. And if you were not able to save that R file, then it will be difficult to recover that. Especially, for example, if you have already made, let's say, hundreds of lines of code, tapos biglang magkaka-power outage, o biglang your computer will not work, tapos mawawala siya, then you cannot recover that file anymore unless you keep on saving regularly, which you have to do. No? Pero kunyari, as we are as oft happens to us, nakakalimutan natin mag-save. So pag nawala yung sa computer, we will not be able to recover that. Now, is there a way so that even if we don't keep on saving, automatically magsisave yun, si R? Yes, there's a way. And the answer is what we call R projects. So how do we create a project? We can create a project by, so here you go to File, and then New Project. File, and then New Project. Let's just wait. Okay. So I want to create a new project in a new directory. Okay, so let me click this. And then here, new directory, and then new project. Okay, and then we're asked for the name, or the directory name. I'm going to call it FINTSAR K33. Okay, then term 3, AY 2022 to 23. So I'm creating this object, this folder called FINTSAR K33 T3, term 3, 2022 to 2023. Okay, and browse. Okay, I want this to be in my desktop. There. So I'm putting it in my desktop. Okay, so it depends on you, class, where you want to put it. So once you do that, I click open, and then here, open a new session, and then create project. So open a new session, and then create project. Okay, it's now creating a new project. Okay, what do you have now? We have now a file, and this is our file. Okay, you can see here the icon here, FINTSAR K33 2023. Okay, and then you can see here below under files, you have here an R project file. This R project file facilitates our work in RStudio. So if, for example, we're working on this file and then we failed to save it, automatically, because of the presence of this R project, it will save. It will save. So no worry if you experience power interruption or if suddenly your computer closes. So it will automatically save. Okay. So let me just close this first. Itong K32 ko, I will not need that. Okay. Now, if I check my desktop, because it's where I placed my R project, it's FINTSAR here, FINTSAR K33. Okay, so you can see that it created this folder. Okay, FINTSAR K33. If I open that, and you can see here the R project that we created, FINTSAR K33. Okay. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to create other projects here. So we're going to create more folders for our specific lessons. Okay, so today, let's create a project within a project. So FINTSAR K33 T3 is a project, but I'm going to create more projects, okay, separate projects by topics. So parang mother folder lang kung si FINTSAR K33. And then inside that, I'm going to create more projects per particular lesson. Okay, so let me do that. So going back here to R, if I click files here, okay, so hindi to, no? RStudio to, hindi to yung kanina, no? Let me close this. Okay, ito siya, no? Here, FINTSAR K33. And then here, we have files. Ito yung R project natin, FINTSAR K33. All right. Any questions so far, class? Okay. Now I'm going to create another project inside FINTSAR K33. Okay. So how do we do that? So once again, I go to File, and then New Project, and then I create a new directory, and then New Project. So I'm now creating a project inside a project. One project is FINTSAR K33. So I'm going to create another project inside FINTSAR K33. I'll put the directory name as 1, and then this will be our first lesson. Intro to R, data, and data structures. Okay, so this is our folder. Okay, and browse which create a project as a subdirectory of. I want it to be a subdirectory of our FINTSAR K33. Okay, so I want it inside FINTSAR K33. So open. All right, and then open in a new session again. Okay, if I click this, open in new session, it will open now an RStudio. Okay, an R script or an R markdown, and then create project. All right, now take note. In our FINTSAR K33, I now have a new folder here. Okay, remember, in FINTSAR K33, I created a new project. Okay, and that project is intro to R, data and data structures. Now let me show this. Okay, so I'll close this first. Okay, take note of this. This is now the new R project that was created, intro to R, data and data structures. Okay, if I show this to you, okay, take a look at the, let's take a look at the desktop. Okay, diba? This is the original folder that project that we created. Okay, and under that is your R project file. Okay, and then we created a folder inside FINTSAR K33 and it's intro to R. I click this. Notice this is a project, so it has its own R project file here. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share with you a file. So chat. Okay. Okay, so let me use this one, FINTSAR RMD files, data and data structure, part 1. Okay. All right. So kindly download the file that I shared with you. And then once you have downloaded it, may I request you to open your Intro to R folder here. So this is FINTSAR K33 and inside this one is Intro to R. And please copy that file. The one that I shared with you. Okay, and once you're done, class, kindly please chat so that I know that you're able to follow along. In case you need instructions, you need clarifications, please don't hesitate to ask your question. Any chat, please, if you have done so. Okay, thank you. Okay, great. Great. I hope everybody's able to follow along. Okay. So let me close this. So I'm now opening the R project. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. The R project that we created, the intro to R. Hey, just to make sure that we understand this, I go to desktop, and remember we created this project, FINTSAR K33, right? And under that, we created another project, this intro to R, data and data frames. So for the next lesson, let's say multiple regression, then we will create another folder here under our section. Okay, and under this project, intro to R and data structures, we have two files here. The R project file and also the RMD file that I shared with you. Okay, so every time, class, when you're working on a particular project, make sure that it's best to load that data, whether it's data, whether it's an Excel file, CSV file, a picture file, etc. Whatever data that you need for that specific project, load it in that project. Okay, that way it's very easy for R to, for example, if you're going to copy a picture, let's say it's a PNG file or JPEG file, and then you're going to copy it to R, you can easily do that because it's inside the R project folder. So look at it as a data management or file management tool where all of your relevant data on a particular R project is housed in one folder. That makes it very easy and really reproducible for for your paper or your research or your output becomes reproducible. If, for example, you're going to share that folder to others, ando dun yung mga picture, ando yung mga data, lahat, masusundan nila yung any R project you're doing. Okay, so this is more for data management and for reproducibility. Okay, so let me go back to close this. Okay, nawala yung R, no? So when I reopen R because I accidentally closed it a while ago, notice that it will return to the last project that I was working on. So this one, see? Introduction to R, data and data structures. This is the first project that we created under FINTSAR K33. And you can see here in the files, what can you find, what's included there in that R project. So you have this R project file, and then you have this RMD file that I shared with you. So let's open this. Let's open this. If you click this, then you can now see here the content of this RMD file. And you can see that it's RMD files and data structure part 1. That one. Okay, were you able to follow so far, class? Kindly chat yes, please. Okay, good. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask your questions. Okay, don't be ashamed to ask your questions. Okay, so thank you so much. All right, so now we have this RMD file. And I think I mentioned to you last time that there are different types of documents that you can open in R. If I click this one, the icon, the plus icon, if I click this arrow, this button, you have R script, you have a Quarto document, you have a Quarto presentation, you have an R notebook, you have an R markdown. Okay, this one is an R markdown. And how do I know it's an R markdown? If you check the extension file, it's RMD here. .rmd. That means that this is an R markdown file, as distinguished from this one, which is an R project file. Okay, you don't actually work on an R project. R project seeks to make sure that your data, the data that you're working on in a particular project, is saved. Okay, in your folder. All right. So going back to what we were discussing, this is an RMD file. If you want to open an R script, then you can just click this or just press Control-Shift-N. Okay, let me do that. Control-Shift-N, and you have here a new R script that's open. For Mac, what's for Mac? Anyone? Control, this is Windows, it's Control-Shift-N. For Mac users, is it Command Alt N? Could you kindly check? Or Command Function N? Okay, may nag-chat dito. Okay, sorry. Thank you. It's Command Shift N then, no? Okay, thank you. For Mac users, you use that in order to create a new R script. But for our purposes, we're not so much going to use R script because it has its inherent disadvantages. Mas maganda yung R markdown kasi mas powerful siya, mas editable to, okay? And the use of code chunks is very important. Sa R plus R script, no? You may write your codes here. The answer will not appear here. The answer will appear in the console. So the disadvantage of that is if you want a document, so for example, you're preparing a document, tapos andyan yung mga codes nyo, andyan yung operations nyo, tapos pag rinan nyo yung operations nyo, yung code na yun, yung answer lalabas dito sa console. So you'll still have to copy-paste it in your document. Unlike sa RMD file, okay, you have a code chunk, may code chunk ka, tapos pag rinan mo yung code chunk na yan, dito lalabas yung answer sa document mismo, sa R script mismo. So it makes it very convenient to use. Okay. So we have, as I said, meron tayong, just for purposes of information, meron din tayong quarto document. If I click this, ito na yung bago, crush yung quarto document. Okay, let me just put a name here, trial 1. Okay, so you can create, for a quarto document, you can create a document, a presentation, or interactive, I think this is a web, no? Pwede tayo mag-create nun. Tapos, you can write the author, and then you have here an output, either HTML or PDF or Word. Okay, so let me create this. Okay, so we can have here now the quarto document. Okay, mas dramatic to class pag cobalt eh. Hindi masyadong kita dito. Okay, so this is a quarto document and it's quite different from the R Markdown. Kasi mag-open ako ng R Markdown dito ha. R Markdown. Trial 1A. Okay, so we can see here the difference between a quarto document and an R Markdown document. Differences in terms of the code chunk, differences in terms of appearance, differences in terms of the functionality. Kasi kung titingnan natin to class, no? Dito lang yung makikita yung mga functions na to. Source, visual, normal, format, insert, table. Wala dito yan sa ano. It does not appear in your R script. Walang ganun functionality. Neither does it appear in your R Markdown. No? Wala dito. Yung R quarto, you can see here na meron siyang source, meron siyang visual. Yung source niya parang yung R Markdown. Yung visual, yung printout. Yan. And then you can find here format, and then you can insert here. Insert a table, a figure, an image. Okay. Makakapag-insert ka rin ng image sa R Markdown. But it's more difficult kasi gagawa mo pa ng code, no? Simple lang naman yung code. Okay, pero unlike quarto, this is quarto. Okay, pwede na tayong diretso mag-insert ng table or image or others, no? Itong YAML block din. Okay. Alright, so at least we know, class. And then of course, pwede tayong gumawa ng quarto presentation. Okay, press 1. So pwedeng reveal.js is more of sa HTML presentation to. Beamer, it's a PDF output, and then PowerPoint. Pwede rin mala PowerPoint yung presentation natin. So if I click this, for example, create. Okay. So here, no? Ito yung yung presentation, parang nasa din siya, nasa quarto or nasa R Markdown. Okay, and then pwede nang yan, automatic na yan na for example, i-render natin. So let me render this, render. Okay, so press 1, presentation 1, save. Okay, so tingnan nyo magra-run siya dito, no? Yan, magra-run siya. Yan, tapos pag okay na, ito na. So just to illustrate to you. So, saan yan? Ito. Wait. Open ko na lang. So, nag-automatic siya dun sa PowerPoint. No? Yan, no? Yung content ng kanina. And what's good about this is that yung mga codes, pwedeng mag-appear dito, tapos yung mga output niya, lalabas din. Whether it's a plot, diretso na sa PowerPoint. Hindi na tayo gagawa ng kunyari Excel, tapos yung Excel, ikakopy natin yung code or kakopy natin figure, transfer pa natin sa PowerPoint. Ito, diretso na. No? Okay, sige, close ko na muna yon. So I'm just showing you the power of R. Okay, close ko na muna to, no? Ito QMD, oh. Quarto Markdown. Okay. All right, so let's go here. Okay, let's take a look at the file that I shared with you. RMD file, data and data structures. Now notice, on the upper right, may outline dito. No? Okay, so if I click this, mawawala yung outline na yan. If I click it, again, it will open. Now, itong file na to, take note. Okay, meron siya mga ano, di ba? You can see here, may mga indentations, no? So what do we, what's this? If I click this one, Intro to R and R Studio, it will bring me to the first pound sign. So itong pound sign na to, this means something. Hindi lang siya basta-basta dyan na parang ano lang, parang dekorasyon lang. A pound sign means, one pound sign means it's the main heading. So if you're going to work on your R Markdown, make use of that. No? Kasi may automatic na nag-ano si R nag-outline siya. So that's our first pound sign. If I go here, you have another pound sign here. So yung mga main headings natin, 1 pound sign yan. If I go here, yung next main heading natin, data classes and data structures. Now take a look at this. Ito, may data classes. Naka-indent siya. Now, data classes, tingnan nyo, dalawang hashtag siya. 2 hashtags, 2 pound signs. So kapag dalawang, if you have 1 pound sign and then under that you have 2 pound signs, then ibig sabihin nun na parang subheading. Okay, if I, for example, if I put another 3 here and then type example 1 kunyari, take note of this. Yan, no? Tatlong levels na, no? You have your main, your second, and then your third. Yung example 1 dito. So make judicious use of your pound sign. Kasi magagamit yan for outlining. Hindi lang siya dekorasyon. Okay, and also it makes accessing your work easier. Kasi if I go here, kunya structure type, if I click this, so pupunta siya dito, no? Isang pound sign to, structure type, and then yung that's why when you create a heading, make sure that it's a good heading, consistent with the paper that you're working on. Okay. All right. So that takes care of the heading. Example 1. Then isang ano siya, di ba? Isang hashtag. Of course, dito hindi maganda yung pagka-outline. Kasi example 1, bakit siya naging main heading? No? Dapat to. And for your work class, for your first group output, which is multiple linear regression, okay, make sure that your headings are main headings are properly worded, properly labeled. Tapos makikita natin dito yan sa outline. All right, so let's go back to the first line. Okay, now yung unang makikita natin sa R Markdown is this one. Okay, this one, no? But may na-delete yata ako dito. Okay, may mali ito class. So, pakita ko lang if we open, may R Markdown pa ba tayo dito? Script to. No? So this one, take a look at this class. No? This is called, yung nasa taas, this is called your YAML. And it's supposed to begin with this one, 3 lines, okay, 3 dashes, and end with 3 dashes. So that should Dapat ganon, no? Otherwise, mag-error to pag render natin. Okay. So here you can see na tanggalin muna natin to, no? I'll explain that in other, ano na lang, in other discussions. Okay. So what's the difference between this one, number 3? Okay, you have here title, author, and then here the date. We can make use of this instead of just using my specific day to day. So if I replace this with this one, nasobrahan. Okay, anong difference nila sa kanina? The one that we did a while ago, yung May 11, 2023, absolute yun. Ibig sabihin na kapag if you open this again on, let's say, June 5, yun pa rin yung magiging date. But if it's coded as our system that date, if you open this on June 5, yung date na yan is June 5. Okay, so that if we render this, if we print this and render it, then ang lalabas sa date doon yung June 5. Okay? Alright, so anong pangalan nitong portion na to? This portion is called your YAML. Y-A-M-L. Okay, let me write that. YAML, okay, in case you haven't heard of that. And sabi nila, it's yet another. I'm not sure if this is really the meaning. I've been trying to look for it. Pero ito nakikita ko meaning eh. YAML, yet another markup language. Kasi ito ginagamit to class for formatting and printing purposes. Itong YAML na to. Okay? Any questions so far, class? Paki-chat naman please kung nakakasunod so far. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. All right. Okay. Now the YAML is very important. No, let me give you an example. So let's open a new R Markdown. Let's use this new R Markdown. So here, click this one, open a new R Markdown, and let's call it trial 2. Okay. And then the date, we can click this, use current date when rendering document. Ibig sabihin nito, kung if you open this on June, pag hindi naka-click to, then absolute yung date na ilalagay yung date ngayon, 5/12/2023. If I click this, use current date when rendering the document, it means that if I open this document 1 week from now, and then if I render it, if I knit it, ang date na ilalagay niya is that specific date. Okay? That the output can be HTML, it can be PDF, it can be Word. For our purposes, example guys, HTML ang gagamitin natin. So, okay. So, we will now have a new R Markdown file. And then, ito yung outline niya, no? If I click this, R Markdown, yun. Now, dalawa yung pound sign. Ibig sabihin, walang main topic siyang ginamit dito. And then this one, click this, including plots, to pound sign din. Okay, and then if we go to this one, my title siya, trial 2, my name, and then clinic natin, di ba? Yung system state yung gagamitin. Ito yun. And then the output is HTML. Okay, let's assume that we already run, no? Ito pwede natin i-run to. Summary. So ang summary function ni R will give us the 6 number summaries. No? Yung minimum value, first quartile, second quartile, third quartile, fourth quartile, and the mean, the average. Okay, also this one, ipa-plot natin yung pressure, plot natin. Okay, so once we have inspected the documents and okay na siya, no? Wala nang error, rinan natin lahat, then pwede natin init siya. Knitting means ipiprint, no? Ipiprint whether, ang option, di ba, either a PDF file, ano pa yung isa? Itong HTML file or Word file. So, ang pinili natin HTML file. So, pag init ko to, knit, yan, may choice tayo. Knit to HTML, knit to PDF, or knit to Word. So, let me just use the HTML. Okay, so it asks us anong file name ang gagamitin natin. No? So, let's call it trial 2A. Okay, we're going to save it. Notice it defaults into the folder that our project folder. Yan. Okay, so, alam natin na dyan masisave yan. Okay, if I save class, magpo-process na yan dito. Magni-knitting process na yan. Yan, nagni-knit siya, no? Okay, nagni-knit siya, and pagka-knit niya, ito lalabas. So this is now your rendered output. Ito. We called it trial 2, Bobby Bailon, and then date ngayon. Pag render ko ulit bukas to, magbabago yan automatically. And then we have this one, the summary cars, and then the plots. Now let's just quickly take a look at what happened to our data. Kasi yung data natin, yung unang code chunk natin, ito, di ba? Our setup. By the way, what is the shortcut for a code chunk? I think I wrote it here. The shortcut is Control plus Alt plus I. No? Pag Command plus Option plus I. Okay, so can you try please? Nari maglagay kayo dito ng bagong code chunk. Press Control Alt then I, or for Mac Command Option I. And please chat if you were able to generate a new code chunk. Nalalaman mo kasi naka-gray out siya, no? Ibang kulay niya dun sa main script window natin. May I have your feedback, please, if you were able to generate a new code chunk? Okay, thank you. Okay, good. All right. Thank you so much, class, for your participation, for your feedback. Okay, so Control Alt I or Command Option I, do not type kasi matagal to. No? Okay, one thing about code chunk is that it's best to put a name to it. Kasi what if you have 500, 600, 700 code chunks? Diba, ang hirap nun, ang hirap mo hanapin yun. But if you give a name to it, madali yan. So pupunta ka lang dito sa ilalim, dito, here, and you notice here, ito yung outline din natin, ano? These are the outlines, no? Ito, code chunk 1, may name siya. Kasi linagyan ko ang pangalan na name 1. Code chunk 2, may pangalan siya setup. So what does this tell us? If you're creating code chunks, and of course you'll have to do that sa R Markdown, put a name to it. And yung names dapat, wag generic, dapat siya yung name na related to the code in that code chunk. Okay, now take a look at this. Ito pala, no? Ito yung pinit natin kanina. Saan na siya? Okay, ito. This is what we printed a while ago, di ba? This is what we rendered a while ago. Alright, tingnan nyo to, no? Our setup, comma, include is equal to false. So what does this do? Itong include is equal to false. Baka may question na. Okay, thank you. Now, yung include is equal to false, tingnan natin yung rendered na document natin. Okay, which is this one. Alright, yan. Yung name, yung title, yung name, yung date, and then, asa na yung asa na siya? Ito. Asa na tong setup include is equal to false? What happened, class? Any feedback? Asa na tong include is equal to false? Anyone? Can anyone give a comment about that, please? Class? Any comments, class? Any feedback? Kasi yung susunod, summary cars, ito yun eh, di ba? Ito, summary cars. So. Okay, in the interest of time, let me answer that, class. Or, yeah, may sumagot yata, no? Yes, correct. Thank you, Mika. You're correct. Ito, include is equal to false, ibig sabihin, hindi niya rinan, hindi niya prinin. Okay? It did not show in your HTML file. And then this one, ang pangalan nitong code chunk na to cars, summary cars, lumabas ba yan sa output? Yes. Ito siya. No? Saan na yung document natin? Oops, sorry. This one. Ito, yung summary cars, print yung code, tapos linabas yung output. And then how about the plots? Including plots? What do you notice about this? What does not show here, class? Anong hindi nagpapakita dyan? Yung, anyone? What is not shown here? Yung, yeah, correct. Thank you. Thank you, Rowell. The code chunk. It does not show. Diba, ang code chunk niya, ito yan eh. This is the code chunk. There. R pressure. Okay? And then plot pressure. Now, rinan niya yung pag-plot kasi kasama yun sa rendering, di ba? Sa knitting ng file, kasama tong printout na to. Pero, hindi yan sinama yung code. And how do you do that? If you want the output of the code chunk, but not the code, ayaw mong mag-appear pa yung code sa output, ito, echo is equal to false. Okay? As distinguished from include is equal to false. I mean, including is equal to false, hindi niya iraran yan, hindi niya papakita yan dun mismo sa knitted file. Itong echo is equal to false, iraran niya, but it will not show the code chunk. Okay? All right. So this is just an example. When you submit your case, okay, so maximum of 3 cases a case, ipapakita nyo yung ano, no? You're going to show the HTML output, you're going to submit that, the RMD file, and then, kasi dapat presentation to, no? You're going to create a presentation. Okay? Either MP4, pwede kayong mag-zoom, tapos i-record nyo habang pinapresent nyo, ano, pinapakita nyo yung output nyo. So you're not just going to send me an RMD file or a HTML file. You will have to, and all the group members, kasi I've had experiences na hindi talaga tumutulong yung iba, no? Which I don't want. So ngayon, to force you, pag wala ka dun sa presentation, siyempre hindi ka naman pwedeng maghula lang dun sa presentation kasi dapat aalamin mo rin yung output nyo. No? So that forces everyone to really take part para walang angal-angal na na hindi naman tumulong siya, hindi ganyan-ganyan. If you're not there in the presentation, it simply means that you did not participate. So you get a 0 for that grade, for that particular activity. Okay, so balik na tayo dito sa natin. So to create a code chunk, diba? Ito, Control-Alt-I or Command-Alt-I o Command-Option-I, and then ito yung pangalan. All right. And then here's the text, class. Let's go through this. Introduction to R Markdown. So sabi natin, maganda yung R Markdown kasi combination siya ng you write the plain text, the text itself, and the output of the code. Kung plot yan, kasama na dun sa ano, sa document yung plot mismo. When compiling R Markdown documents, the code components can be evaluated so that both the code and its output can be included in the final document. Okay? So pinakita natin yan, no? So pag ninit natin, ito, knit yung final document natin, then you will see that ando dun yung ano, ando dun yung pinaka-outputs unless you specify that include is equal to false. Okay. Our first, so we will now look at yung data classes and data structure. Okay? So ano-ano ba yung mga, ano-ano ba yung mga data classes sa R? Okay, what are the data classes? So I listed here some of the most important data classes. Okay. So first we have here, okay, numeric, no? So ano yung numeric class? What's numeric? Pag numeric, it's a number, di ba? Obviously. So for example, 3, kunyari, pi. Okay, you know the number pi, di ba? Yung pi sa R, it's well, it's spelled as is. Tanggalin ko lang itong mga ano broom ko lang to para, okay, if I run this, pi, control, I can go anywhere to this line. I can go to the end, I can go to the middle, I can go to the front, or gitna ng pi, and then control enter. Lalabas yung output, no? 3.14. Dito sa console, lalabas na yung output dito sa script window natin. 3.141593. Okay? So that's a numeric number. Magbigay pa tayo isang example. Now, what we can do is, oftentimes, ang ginagawa natin, we assign a name. We assign a name to a particular object in R. So how do we do that? So let me call this D1. D1 is equal to pi. So yung pangalan ng yung pi na value, I'm giving it a name D1. Okay, so D1 is equal to pi. If I press Control Enter, all right, you will notice now dun sa environment natin, lumabas na isang object na D1 and ang value niya 3.14. Okay, so that's how you assign let's say a variable or a name to a value in R. Okay, now it's not advisable to use the equal sign here. Kasi baka sa particular na function na to, baka gamitin mo pa ulit si equal to. So there's another name for another way to give it a name, okay? Okay. So this one, less than and then minus. No? This is called your, ang tawag dyan, assignment operator. Assignment operator, and it works the same as an equal to. Mas maganda nga lang to kasi if we use this, yung assignment operator na to, then we can still use the equal sign dito sa let's say may function tayo dito, magagamit natin equal sign. Kasi pag dito ginamit natin equal to for our assignment operator, baka magkaroon ng confusion kung meron pa tayo, kung gagamitin pa natin si equal sign. All right? So pi. Okay. Now, a while ago, when we run this, di ba hindi siya nag-print dito? Okay, let me show you that. If I run this, Control Enter, ano nangyari? Hindi siya automatically nag-print dito. Pero it registered the D1. If you want to print, okay, if you want to print D1, okay, you can put here parentheses, open and close parentheses. Okay? So that way, ito, ang ibig sabihin ng open and close parentheses yan, ibig sabihin yan, print. I-print natin yung D1. So let me show that. I'm going to run this, Control Enter, and notice, print niya, no? Itong 3.14 na print niya. Alright? Okay, so yung pag-type ng less than minus, may shortcut yan. And the shortcut is, okay, for Mac, it's Alt, and then for Windows, it's Alt and minus. For Mac, it's Option and then minus. So sige nga, try nga natin class dito. Okay, so let's try another number. Let's call it D2. D2. And then if you're using Windows, press Alt minus. If you're using Mac, Option minus. Okay, and that's, let's say, exponential exp 3, e to the third power. Okay, if I want this printed immediately, open and close parentheses, and then Control Enter. Control Enter. Let me see kung nag-print siya. Nag-print nga siya, no? 20.8554. There. All right, and then may object na tayo dito na D2. Okay, nag-record na siya. So I can now use D1 and D2. For example, I can use D1 kasi alam na ni R kung ano yung D1 na yan. No? Na-define na niya. D1 plus D2. So pwede na niyang i-perform tong operation na to kasi defined na yung D1 at D2. D1 plus D2, Control Enter. Okay, so inad lang niya. Okay, so you get this answer. Okay, any questions, class? Clear ba yung assignment operator? Either Alt and then minus or Option and then minus? Clear ba siya, class? Paki-chat naman please kung clear siya. Okay, good. Thank you. How about the others, please? All right, thank you. Salamat sa feedback. I appreciate that. Okay, sabi natin yung D1. Okay, let me add another one here. No? Mag-create ulit tayo ng D3. Alt minus, kasi Windows yung sa akin. And then let's call it number 10, kunyari, 10. Okay, D3 is 10. So Control Enter. Okay, so nagkaroon na tayo dito ng another object, D3, no? D3 and it is 10. Okay, thank you. Okay, question. Is D1 numeric? Kasi another quantitative element is integer. Diba? Alam naman natin yung integer. Ibig sabihin ng integer, walang decimal place yan. Diba? Right, class? Walang decimal place yan. Integer yon, no? Yung numeric, may integer siya. Si D1 ba, numeric or integer? Kindly chat your answer, please. Si D1. Numeric or integer? Pag sinabi natin numeric, ibig sabihin, may real number yun, decimal place. Kindly chat your answer, please, class. D1, the object D1. Is it numeric or integer? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yes, you're correct, class. Numeric siya, no? Obviously, kasi ang pi, may decimal yan eh. How do we check? You can use the class function. So I'm using class. The class function, open and close parentheses, D1, it tells us the type of data. A class D1, enter, numeric nga siya. No? How about D2 class? Without typing, numeric ba to o integer? D2. Obviously, class, yung e to the third power, that will be numeric. And then lastly, how about D3 class? Numeric or integer? Without typing class, numeric or integer? Without typing class, no? Sana hindi nyo tinype muna yung class, ha? For D3, for 10, guess nyo lang muna, guess. Will it be numeric or integer? Without typing class, without typing yung class function. If you type, then huwag nyo na muna sagutan. Yung mga hindi mo na nag-type. Si D3, numeric ba siya o integer? Guess lang, guess. Kasi 10 siya eh, di ba? So walang hula. Okay, thank you, Wei. Thank you for that honesty. Okay. I'm sure if you didn't run it, class, I'm sure ang sasagutin niyo yan integer, no? Kasi wala naman siyang decimal place, di ba? I'm sure maybe 99.99% of you will answer na integer yan. I think some of you answered numeric kasi tinype niyo yung class. Eh. Okay? So nakita niyo yung answer. Pero kung tutuusin class, tingnan niyo 10, di ba? Wala naman decimal place yan. So we most probably would have guessed that this is an integer. No? But if I take the class of D3, sasabihin sa atin numeric. Bakit? Kasi yung 3, even if wala siyang decimal place, it will be read as numeric. Unlike if it's an integer. So I'll create an object here, D4, alt minus, and then 100L. Okay, the presence of this L will denote that this number is integer. No? Else here stands for long integer. So if I run this, okay, so my D4 na tayo dito, no? And I type class D4, you'll see that this is now integer. Okay? All right, so let's quickly, we have a few more minutes. Gusto lang natin matapos tong apat na to. Pag character class, kailangan may quotes, no? So take a look at this. Okay, let's call this D5 alt minus. So si D5 is an object, okay, consisting of the word true, quotes, no? Open and close quotations. So I run D5, so lumabas siya sa dito, D5, and then if I get the class of D5, it will be character, no? Now, anong kaibahan ni character kay logical? Si logical kasi true or false yan. No? So pag logical, dapat ang pag-type natin, no? It should be paano? Dapat walang quotes, no? Tapos dapat all capital true. All right? And then let's call this D6A, or pwedeng F. Okay, take a look at this, no? So we're creating two objects here, D6 and D6A. Yung isa true, yung isa false. I-run natin to. So meron na tayong dalawang dito, no? Dalawang object, D6, true. Now pwede rin F lang, no? Or pwede rin 2, T lang, no? For true or false. But I don't suggest this. Okay? I would suggest that when you're using logical values, you use the word true and you use the full word false. All right? So if you get the class of D6 and then class D6A, what do we have here? D6 and D6A, run natin to. So pareho silang logical. Okay? So pause for a while. Paki-chat please kung nakakasunod tayo dun sa character at sa logical. Kindly chat yes please if okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, good. Okay. Now complex number. So let's create another object D7. By the way, class, pag may hashtag tayo sa code chunk, comment to, no? Here I have a hashtag. It's treated as a comment. So it's not treated as part of the outline. Hindi siya, kasi pag isang hashtag, di ba, ibig sabihin nun, isang pound sign, ibig sabihin main heading, no? Pero dito hindi siya inside the code chunk. Hindi, comment lang yan. So complex, I'll create D7, alt minus, and then 3 plus 40, 4i. All right. If you recall yung complex numbers sa algebra nyo, 3 plus 4i, you have a real number and then imaginary number. Control Enter. So may D7 tayo dito. Yan. Lahat ng objects na create natin class, it should be here. Okay, and then if you get the class of D7, okay, we'll have complex. All right, last, yung date na lang, no? Yung date. So paano yung date? Let's create this object D8. Okay, so if I type, for example, 2023 /05 May 12. Okay, what will this give us? Let's put it in parentheses, open and close parentheses. If I enter this, notice na ano nangyari? Nagbigay siya ng answer 2026. Bakit? Kasi yung D8 na yan, numeric siya. Kasi this is 2023 minus 5 minus 12. So pinerform ni R, 2026. If we want it to be a date, anong gagawin natin? So let's copy this. Tingnan natin kung Control C, Control V. Gawin natin D8A. What if we put here a quotes? Magiging ano to? D8A. Enter. Alright, so ano siya? May quotes, no? Diba? So alam natin yan na ano siya? Class D8A, we know that it should be a character siya. Correct. Thank you, Mika. Tama, character siya, no? So kapag date yung gagawin natin na object, okay, let me call this now D8B. Alt minus. You'll have to use this function as that date, open parentheses, 2023-05-12. Yun. Okay, gagamitan natin ng as that date function. Okay, we'll have more about this as we go along. So if we run this, D8P, control enter. All right. So tingnan nyo dito, D8P. May UTC na. This is the Universal Time Convention. So if we get class D8B, control enter. All right, it's now a date function. Okay, so let me stop here. Stop recording ko na, no?